Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Diablo 4. The first season is almost upon us. It is going to be arriving on the 20th of July. However, the pre-patch has already been deployed onto live servers, and the community reaction has been pretty much what I expected. That is to say, outrage. People are not happy with the changes that are coming to the game. Now, personally, I haven't really seen the patches just yet. We're going to be talking about that a little bit further in the video because I figured I'd do something a little bit fun with it for today. However, one of the things that I wanted to ask the community at large is, what the fuck were you expecting? Like, let's actually just be completely real here. When it comes to RPG class balancing, Blizzard ranks amongst the worst gaming companies ever. I mean, have you played World of Warcraft just recently? You know, just not even by, complete coincidence. Just recently, if you've been keeping up to date with World of Warcraft news, you're probably aware of the fact that people are doing raids with 20 augmentation evokers, which is a brand new spec that they've added into the game. And apparently it synergizes really well with some Death Knight spec. I believe it is the Unholy Death Knight spec, where basically the Unholy Death Knight just ramps up to a completely ridiculous degree to the point where they're hitting bosses for, tens of millions of damage, give or take, which is completely and absolutely absurd, but that's usually the way things go. Blizzard, when it comes to RPG classes, pretty much operates on a flavor of the month system, which basically means, hey, this month, this class is going to be broken. This month, that class is going to be broken. It's always been the case, and those have always been my expectations for Diablo 4. As a matter of fact, that is one of the reasons why I've always said that respecking in Diablo 4 should absolutely be free. Even though it didn't really bother me that much, the cost of respec, it should just be free, because you know that at some point Blizzard is just going to nerf something into the dirt and they're going to make a whole bunch of builds unplayable. I've even seen a couple of quick clips on Twitter where people are saying, oh, I had this build, it was perfect, it was fantastic, and now it's literally unplayable. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. Now, my build is still playable, and we're going to be talking about that. And you guys might wonder, well, Rurikhan, if you're saying this, why were you so positive about Diablo 4? Because I went into Diablo 4 with the expectation that, in terms of class balancing, it was always going to be garbage. I played the class fantasy that I wanted to play, which was the Minion Necromancer. And from the beginning, I was thinking to myself, this is probably going to go really bad, because Minion Necromancer is traditionally very poorly handled by Blizzard. And guess what? It went exactly as I expected. By the time I got to endgame, I realized, and I made the video about how disappointed I was about Minion Necromancer. Minion Necromancer's ass! It is complete ass. Now, I know that Creparan made a video, and I already addressed that, where it's like, oh, yeah, you can make Minion Necromancer work. Yeah, if you can get, a Ring of Mendeln, which in all of the hours, I think I probably got close to 200 hours in Diablo 4, I've never seen one drop. So, fuck you, I guess. But that is a very interesting point when it comes to these patch notes, because arguably, I would imagine at least, that the reason why everything is getting nerfed into the dirt is to make up for the fact that a lot of classes are going to gain a lot of power by grabbing those, what are they called? The Hearts of the Malignant or whatever, that basically work like overpowered legendary aspects on crack, where developers specifically say, oh, we're going to make some really broken builds. And it's like, oh, I guess in order to achieve those broken builds, first you're going to nerf everything else into the ground. And the reason I have a bit of a problem with this is because you need to understand, not everybody is going to get those legendary aspects to drop when they, because here's the thing. A mandatory legendary aspect, if you want to do the Minion Necromancer build that I wanted to do, is the Ring of Mendeln. 200 hours. Haven't seen one of those fuckers drop. Not one. Okay? So, just because there are items in the game that can completely break builds, you're going to nerf everything into the ground, and all of the people that might just not get a drop because this shit is just completely RNG at the end of the day, fuck them. That's pretty much the way that it goes. It's like, it's all about getting you to play the game for thousands upon thousands of hours, regardless if you're having fun or not. Because, supposedly the whole, the whole incentive for me to keep playing my Minion Necromancer is like, eventually I'm going to get to a nightmare dungeon that's going to give me my Ring of Mendeln. but it never happens. If there are legendary affixes, and this includes also in terms of like these Hearts of the Malignant and whatever, that are going to make some classes absolutely broken, and if you're going to basically patch the game to compensate for that, then you need to ensure that everybody gets those fucking items, which doesn't make any fucking sense because it's an RNG game. Blizzard, in my opinion, is fundamentally clueless when it comes to balancing their classes. You can accept this, you cannot accept this, but just look at their history when it comes to balancing, whether it is in Diablo 3, whether it is in World of Warcraft, whether it is in fucking anything that has to do with RPGs. Blizzard is just terrible about balancing their games. This is just the fact of life. Now, I'm going to check out Season 1. I'm going to see what's going on. But I'm not really holding out my breath in terms of like, oh, I'm going to definitely dedicate another 100 hours to making this pitch perfect build. I'm going to play something random, and by the time I feel like the game's getting boring, I'm going to hop out, which is kind of like what I've done this time. I've already had my fun with Diablo 4, to be honest. I don't need to play Diablo 4 anymore because what I wanted to get out of it was the story. I thought the story was pretty good. It was a pretty good, experience first time around, but this whole seasonal stuff is not something that grabs me that much. It's, to me, what grabs me is the gameplay. Is the gameplay fun? Am I having fun playing the game? Is it respecting my time? And the moment I see that a game is not respecting my time, I'm like, see ya, kid. And to be honest, I feel like more people should do that. But here's what I planned for today's video. So because supposedly there's all these nerfs, I figured I'm going to jump into the game in my current character because the pre-patch is already live. I'm going to try to guess what they nerfed. So I jumped into a nightmare dungeon with my minion Necromancer, and, from my experience in that dungeon, I tried guessing. So here were my guesses. So number one, there is something that I have to say, which is they still haven't fixed I'm not sure if this is a glitch, if this is a bug. This is a very specific thing on controller, which if you're using a corpse skill as your base skill, so like for instance, if you bind corpse explosion on the X button of your controller, you can't pick up things if there are corpses around. You guys are like, what? What? Yeah, it will always blow up everything around you before picking up the items because we also use the X button to pick up things. So that basically means I still can't. I am doing it, and you can probably see, like, if you notice in this gameplay at some points I just stop playing and blow up a bunch of corpses. I'm not actually blowing up those corpses because I have to. I just need to pick up that item, and the only way to pick up that item is to blow every corpse around so that I can actually use it. It's just, look, it's a thing that happened with my build. It is what it is. But, they still haven't fixed that. I figured that would be something that would be fairly easy to fix, but I guess nobody thought of putting corpse explosion on the X button on a controller. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. It's whatever. Now, the first thing that I have to say, they probably nerfed survivability. I don't know how. Maybe they nerfed HP all around. Maybe they nerfed... they can't have nerfed resistances because those weren't even working in the first place. So I guess the only thing left is they nerfed armor because my Necro feels squishier than ever. Maybe they also nerfed barriers. I don't know. But that would be my first guess. They definitely nerfed survivability somehow. My next guess would be, did they nerf minion damage even more? Because an interesting thing about this dungeon is that it's giving me bonus frost damage, and I'm using frost skellies, and they seem to be dealing less damage than they were doing before. So, yeah, I don't know. Did they nerf minion damage? Or maybe they just nerfed damage all around? Or maybe they buffed enemy health. I don't know. It definitely feels like it's taken me longer to clear dungeons because I was clearing 30 plus nightmare dungeons pretty easily with my build, and my build ain't even that optimized. That's whatever. But I was going through in that range between 30 and 35. I was doing those no problem. I was just like straight up farming them, and now it definitely feels way harder. Now another thing is I'm wondering if they might have nerfed minion survivability, or if that's just a result of them nerfing survivability as a whole. Like I said, my guess is potentially armor. If they nerfed armor, and maybe that also affects minion armor, which is like, look, minions were already fucking paper thin. You're going to make them even more paper thin? You need to understand, the build that I'm playing right here, as you see my minions collapse left, right, and center, the build that I'm playing right here actually has like almost every minion node in the game. Well, okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. It's got a ton of minion nodes is what I'm saying. And minion nodes, fucking worthless because minion builds are worthless. It's just worthless. Now, another thing is I think they probably nerfed cooldown reduction. Not exactly sure how, but one of the things that I seem to remember is that I would use my, I'd use my bone, what's it called? The bone whirly thing? I forget. Whatever. Bone storm. I'd use my bone storm. And usually by the time the bone storm would run out, it'd be like between 10 to 15 seconds before I could cast it again. I know the build is not super optimized. And now it's twice that. It's like, what? We nerfed cooldown reduction. Thanks. Good job, Blizzard. Thank you. And then it's like, those are kind of my guesses for some of the things that were probably nerfed. Now we're going to go over the patch notes. But before we go there, I just have to ask. I need to ask this for my sanity. Why the fuck are sacred items dropping in World Tier 4 after level 70? I mean, on a level 30... I mean, actually, it's not even level 70 because it's a level 34 Nightmare Dungeon. So these monsters are like level 89 or whatever the fuck it was. Why are they dropping sacred items? Just why? Can literally anyone, like just literally anyone, try to explain me the reasoning why monsters are dropping sacred items? I'm just trying to understand. Where's the logic behind this? It's not enough that I have to sort through all these fucking ancestral items looking for some kind of a 1% benefit that I can get on them. You're gonna fill me with trash of sacred items? What are we doing? Why? I don't understand. Anyway, let's actually get to it. I'm gonna go through the patch notes. This is probably gonna have to be edited because I believe that these patch notes are quite lengthy. But let's see. Oh, we're gonna get some new unique items. Oh, nice. Let's see what these are all about. New unique items and legendary aspects have been discovered in Sanctuary. Use them to enhance your character's Eternal Seasonal Realm. These unique items can be obtained via World Tier 4 and legendary aspects. I mean, very few people are going to be getting these, let's be honest. Varian Spear of Lycander, uber unique staff. Oh, this is one of the uber unique items. So these items don't fucking exist in the game. That's how that works. Okay, that's just how it works. So, gain a random shrine effect for 10 to 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. This will be great for the 2 players, like accurate, by the way, not exaggerating, the 2 players in the world that will eventually get to see this item. Azurath! Oh man, I miss Azurath. This is for Barbarian. Lucky hit, your core skills have a chance at 20% to freeze enemies for 3 seconds and deal a bunch of cold damage to them. Okay, sure. It's a unique sword, though. It's a one-hander. It's like, who cares? I mean, usually barbarians, for stuff that actually deal damage, you want like a 2-hander. At least I would assume this is a one-hander, because it doesn't say unique 2-handed sword. Druid, Flesh Render, unique one-handed mace. Debilitating roar and blood howl deal damage to nearby poisoned enemies. Wait, they deal 1 damage? What am I missing here? I'm just not smart enough to understand that item. Lidless Wall. Oh, this one's a returning item from Diablo 2. Lucky hit while you haven't... Wait, it's a shield? Bro. Imagine using a shield as a necromancer. I tried living that dream. I really did. It's fucking worthless. Let's see if it's good. Lucky hit while you have an active bone storm, hitting an enemy outside of a bone storm. Wait, what? Wait. Oh, has a 5 to 25% chance to spawn an additional bone storm at their location. Each of your active sacrifice bonuses increase the chance by 25% the total numbers. Bro, so wait a minute. I've been complaining that Minion Necromancer sucks. And what you do is you give the Necromancer a shield that increases sacrifice bonuses for bone storms. The total number of additional bone storms you can have is +1. One more. If this is not just the culmination of Blizzard having no fun, like, look, I've only played Necromancer. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe preparing to be around. No, actually, this item is fucking god tier. But looking at this item, I'm like, it's a shield. That means you're nerfing your damage because you're using a shield. The whole thing about shields is that they have thorns. But thorns on Necromancer is kind of fucking worthless because the thorns thing that increases the... There's a thorns aspect that makes it so that whenever you get hit, the thorns damage that you deal out is actually AoE. There's a chance of that damage being AoE. That doesn't work for your minions, so thorns on a Necromancer is fucking worthless. But then again, minions on a Necromancer is fucking worthless too, so who gives a shit. But the interesting thing is, like, listen, when I put up Bone Storm, what I want to do is I want to jump on top of enemies and get Bone Storm to deal damage to them. It's like the whole thing about Bone Storm. You have your Bone Storm, your Golem Bone Storms as well, and you get 2 Bone Storms on top of, on top of enemies to actually deal some damage. The way this item works is you're supposed to shoot spells outside of your Bone Storm to make another Bone Storm. It's just completely antithetical to the way that I use Bone Storm. I don't know. This to me doesn't make any fucking sense. Rogue, they get Eagle Horn. Oh man, I love Eagle Horn. Like, no joke, this was actually the way that I countered Burizons back in the day in Diablo 2. I grabbed an Eagle Horn, stacked a bunch of attack power. By the time they'd shoot their deadly, hyper-piercing Buriza arrow, I'd shoot them 50 times. So, unique bow, penetrating shot has a 30 to 80% chance to fire an arrow that bounces off walls and scenery. Wait. Hitting enemies from behind with penetrating shot will make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. So Eagle Horn became the Buriza because now you fire penetrating shots and then it bounces off the walls in a way it's almost like Buriza. That's hilarious. Sorcerer, the Oculus, unique 1, gain the effect of teleport enchantment for free. When you evade using teleport enchantment, you are taken to a random location. I don't play sorcerers, but just the idea of you're taken to a random location. Imagine you evade. Oh, I'm back at town. Huh. Curious that. So these, however, you don't have to worry about these because these are. Wait, this one's the only Uber unique, right? Ah, okay. Yeah, the Avarion Spear is the only unique. The other ones are just like regular uniques. Okay, that's yeah. So they don't drop anyway. You're a majority of the player base, like all of these items. I'm not, by the way, this is not a joke. Like, if you're watching this video and you think like, oh, Rurikhan's just exaggerating. Like, no, let me assure you, okay, without a single shadow of a doubt, 80% of the player base is not going to see a single one of these items. I'm not joking. Oh, and this one, the Avarion Spear, 99.9999999% of the player base won't see this item. There's going to be 1 or 2 lucky people that will see this item. I'm not, again, you guys may think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. And when it comes to the uniques, I guarantee you that 80% of the player base has never seen a fucking unique in their lives. This is not an exaggeration. Maybe Blizzard has the actual stats. They could totally prove me wrong if they want to, but go ahead. I challenge you. Go for it. Anyway, 7 new legendary aspects. Audacity. When there's at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 2.4 seconds and can occur every once in 20 seconds. Craven, you gain 20% increased movement speed when moving away from slowed or chilled enemies. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yes. This is the one, boys. Ancestral Charge, offensive aspect. Charge calls forth 4 ancients who also charge, dealing. Oh, see, this one actually is really cool. Because I love the charge skill, but I don't think a lot of people use the charge skill because it's not particularly useful. This one's really cool. Druid Subterranean, offensive aspect. Poison creepers active also casts landslide in a circle around you. This one's cool too. Earth skills deal 20% increased damage to poison enemies. Necromancer, Gore Quills, offensive aspect. Blood Lance will consume blood orbs to also conjure lances from them. Each additional Blood Lance deals 20 to 50% of normal damage. Prioritizes targeting unlanced enemies. I'm actually considering playing Blood Necro for this season. And the reasoning is I'd like to play a Necromancer that is actually good. But I think that Blood's not that great. Everybody's swearing by Bone Spear or whatever. Maybe I should play Bone Spear Necro. But I definitely wanted to play a different Necro because Minion Necro was disappointing as fuck. Rogue, Pestilence points, offensive aspect. Every third cast of Puncture is poison imbued with, I don't know. Sorcerer's Searing wards, offensive aspect. After spending 200 to 100 mana, your next firewall is free to cast and will destroy incoming small missiles. Doesn't seem that great, personally. As someone who played a little bit of a firewall sorc. Made several improvements from accessibility perspective, primarily many fixes to screen readers, sure. Fixed multiple issues where... Fixed multiple issues where specific challenges wouldn't provide proper rewards. Fixed issues where... Okay, so this is just like general fixes. Feat of the Strength, Final Slayer, the First Mother, requires Pinnacle Boss Solo. Silence Hellish Challenge remains unchanged. Cooperative play. Fixed an issue where the camera wasn't functioning properly when players too far apart in local co-op. Okay. Fixed an issue where NPC conversation box would overlap. Okay. Rogue's Inner Sight would fill up. Okay. Dark Potential Challenge. Multiple instances. Blah, blah, blah. Player would not be able to receive enough animus to progress through the Hollowed Ossuary. Monster Regen. Affix. Nightmare Dungeon also affects structures. Fixed an issue. This is for the This one's for the Barbarian. Fixed an issue where stacking the Berserk, Ripping, Skullbreaker, and Anemia aspects would allow the player to deal extreme amounts of damage. Allowing the player to deal too much damage was an issue. Fixed an issue where the Outer Edge of the Quakes granted the Hammer of the Ancients via the aspect of the Ancestral Echoes was dealing far more damage than intended. Bro, I don't know how Hammer of the Ancients was doing, but back in the beta it was ass. Developers note to recognize this adjustment as a significant decrease to the Hammer of the Ancients Barbarian build, but we do not want its strength to be reliant on an underlying bug. Bro, this is the best developer note. It's like, we realize that this basically makes Hammer of the Ancients kind of suck. But we don't want the strength of Hammer of the Ancients to be relying on a bug. So we fixed the bug, but we're not buffing Hammer of the Ancients to make up for it. Hammer of the Ancients is just going to be ass. Thanks. Okay. Fixed an issue where items of higher power than intended were dropping from rare monsters. Oh, yeah, you wouldn't want that. I mean, of course, come on. But items of higher power? Psh, I mean, we can't let the players have items of higher power. Who knows? Rurikhan might have gotten his Ring of Mendeln. Holy shit. Gameplay updates. Altar of Lilith unlocks are now account-wide. Map discovery is now account-wide. Whispers will no longer reward sigil dust. I don't even remember what the hell sigil dust was. It's been a while. Overall loot quality has been significantly improved for silent chests. Good, because if those were the chests that were like locked and you needed the key, those were friggin' worthless. The channel time for the Leave Dungeon ability has been increased from 3 to 5 seconds. Why? We've generally reduced the tendency for many monsters to move around in combat so that melee characters don't have to chase down their enemies as much. Thank fucking God. Added dual sense edge wireless controller support for PC. Renown value adjustments. Side quest renown reward values increased from 20 to 30. Dungeon renown reward values increased from 30 to 40. This is a good thing. I still don't want to do side quests again. But, you know, this is actually one of the reasons why I just stopped doing side quests. Because initially I had planned, oh, dude, I'm going to do all of these side quests. I'm going to do all of this progress so that I can get all of this renown. And I thought the content was actually enjoyable. The moment they said, oh yeah, in season 1, all that shit resets, the only thing you get is Altars of Lilith and Math Progress, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore then. Like, why am I doing this if you expect me to do it again in like less than a month? It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. This change is retroactive, and the additional renown gain will be applied to characters who have already completed side quests and dungeons. Ooh, that means I may have additional Paragon points. No, actually I don't, because I looked at the Paragon thing and wasn't there yet. I still need to do more things if I want to get those. World Tier 2 has had the following bonuses added. Bonus gold increased from 15 to 20%. Yes! Monsters now drop 15% more items. How about 15% more rare items? We like where World Tier 2 has landed overall, but are increasing its reward pace to better align with its difficulty. Yeah, whatever. Level scaling inside dungeons in most overworld territories has been adjusted in World Tiers 3 and 4. Monsters will begin to trail behind the player in level after a certain point, up to a maximum of 5 levels behind. This change does not affect world bosses, Legion events, Fields of Hatred, Helltide, or Nightmare dungeons. Interesting. We want to give players a better sense of their power progression and mastery over the world while still challenging themselves with structured endgame activities. This is one of the big complaints that I've heard from people. It hasn't really been a big deal for me, the fact that monsters scale with you, because usually the gains in power that you get are decent enough to deal with them. But then again, I'm the type of player that likes a challenge, so, whatever. World Tier 3 example, if the player's level is below 55, monster level is 55, the player's level is 56 through 60, monster's level is 55, player's level is 61, monster level 56. Okay, so this is just going to make it easier to level up. I think that this is probably one of the reasons why everything is, why there's supposedly so many nerfs. I haven't really seen a whole lot of nerfs besides some class-specific stuff. But this is probably another reason why there's so many nerfs. It is because stuff is supposedly now lower level. Problem is that this doesn't really apply to Nightmare dungeons, so it doesn't really matter. World Tier 4 example. Okay, so the base level for World Tier 4 is now 75. And then it will stay 75 up until 80, and then 81, 76. Yeah. Word experience for completing Whispers in World Tier 3 and 4 has been significantly increased. You've observed that experience bonus reward for killing higher level monsters escalates too fast when compared to the relative challenge involved. So we'll want to reward players for taking on this challenge by encouraging them to participate in power leveling together instead of one player killing enemies while another member of their party waits at a dungeon entrance. Okay. We're adjusting bonus experience rewards for killing monsters that are higher level than a player. So, depending on the number of levels that is higher, you get EXP bonuses. We're also adjusting experience rewards for monster levels offset for higher world tiers. World Tier 2 up to +3, up to +10, up to +100. What is this? If you're level 1, your friends bring you to that World Tier 4. If they start killing level 100 monsters. Oh! Holy shit, so no more power leveling. Okay, thanks. Looking to increase the danger in Helltide's risk-reward gameplay by making the monsters a bit more challenging. The Tortured Gift of Mysteries harder to open. Helltide monsters are now 3 levels higher than a player instead of 2. Tortured Gift of Mysteries chest has had its cost increased to 250 aberrant cinders. You guys like Helltides? Good. Fuck you! I've also heard that they've apparently nerfed the amount of cinders that you get from Helltides. I haven't really checked up on that just yet, but that appears to be the word on the Twitter streets, is that they nerfed that. So, yeah, it really is just one of those situations where it's like, oh, you like doing Helltides? Fuck you in particular then. Which is actually a lot of players, because a lot of players liked Helltides because it allowed them... Because you see, the thing about Helltides is that you want to know the reason why people like Helltides? It allows them to target slots. It allows them to go like, I need a good ring. Here, there's a chest that will drop jewelry. There's a higher chance of me getting a ring as opposed to killing something that can drop literally anything. You can target. And Blizzard's like, no, we don't want you. No, we don't want you targeting loot. Bad boys. Targeting loot? Control over your loot? You're crazy. Developers note, As our community continues to battle the burning hells, the builds emerging from new players have shocked and delighted us. Chosen to focus Season of the Malignants balance updates on clear itemization disparities over redesigns of class features. The class change is largely focused on numeric increases to skill upgrades and legendary aspects players haven't yet found compelling. Additionally, we're changing critical strike damage Paragon glyphs to empower all damage instead of only core skills to enable more build strategies. There are also a few class stat decreases on sources which grant extreme amounts of damage, healing, or unstoppable. In general, we prefer build-specific changes to be bonuses instead of decreases, but we feel these changes are necessary for the overall health of the game. Diablo 4 is a game that is constantly evolving through its seasons, thus the adjustments we make will evolve with them. Okay, so there's class-specific ones. We'll look at those in a bit. In the meantime, Aspect Disobedience maximum stats reduced from 100 to 60. Reducing maximum bonus armor from 25 to 50 to 50. Oh. There it is. Everybody that I know uses this item. The item that increases your armor by a percentage. And they've nerfed that in 20%. Aspect of Retribution, bonus damage stun reduced. Ooh. Exploiter's Aspect, bonus damage to unstoppable, reduced. This one's not that bad. Starlight Aspect, resource restore, increased. Butcher's Cleaver, slow, increased. Drop rate adjustments. Increased bonus to drop ancestral and sacred items in Nightmare Dungeons from 5 to 10%. Remove 20% chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters outside of... Why? Nerfed loot drops. Okay. Increased chance to drop an extra equipment item from elite monsters, Nightmare Dungeons, and Helltide by 10%. This is typical Blizzard. This is just typical Blizzard, where players are doing something and they're like, I like doing this thing. And Blizzard goes, fuck you, do this thing instead. Nightmare Dungeons now have a 50% chance to drop a second legendary item upon completion. Well, I guess that's nice. Nightmare Dungeons now give 3 rare items upon completion up from 1. Now look, for me, here's the other thing. For me, this is good. I've always preferred doing Nightmare Dungeons even when they weren't the best way to level up. I was still doing Nightmare Dungeons. So to me, this is all great. Like, look, it's buffs all around. I'm just thinking in terms of the other players that they may be like, hey, I just want to chill, do a regular dungeon, and Blizzard's just like slap them across the face with like, oh yeah, that 20% extra drop rate from elites? Fuck you. No. Why? It's just why? Increased monster HP scaling from 85 to 100%. Yeah, whatever. This is for party scaling. Just the scaling of Greed Shrine. So this actually makes it harder if you're in a party. Then again, I haven't played that much in parties or whatever. World bosses now drop potions more often. I've barely done world bosses because the items that they drop, I can't equip them, so there's no reason for me to do them. Do we have a fix on that somewhere? Has that been fixed? Can I do world bosses now and actually equip the loot? Has that been fixed at some point? I don't know. No joke, ever since I got to World Tier 4, I've never done a world boss. Because why? I'm nowhere close to being the level, at least at the time, I was nowhere close to being the level of which I would be able to equip the drop that would come from me assisting in killing this boss. Why would I do it? Anyway, many affixes are too efficient and are shining alternatives. We're looking to refine the outliers, improve the number. That means we're nerfing the stuff that works, and we're buffing the stuff that doesn't work, where it's still going to probably suck, but whatever. Increase the overall flexibility of items. Know these changes will reduce the total amount of possible power character can possess, so we'll be monitoring how these changes affect player ability to conquer expected milestones throughout the season. See, that's the thing, dude. That's the fucking thing. It's like, oh yeah, you know, we'll be figuring it out as the season goes along. Motherfucker, I want to play a finished game. I don't want you to be figuring it out. I don't want you to be like, well, you know, you're like over the month you're figuring out, seems like this thing's too powerful. Fucking figure it out ahead of time. We'll figure it out. They'll figure it out, guys. Don't worry about it. It's like, what about the average player that is like, I'm not even talking about myself, but like the average player that has a job, comes home, he's got 2 hours to play. You know, he finds the really powerful item and he's like, fuck yeah, my build is rocking. And Blizzard just goes like, you know what? Nah, that item's too powerful. And you nerf that guy. And the next night he comes over for his other 2 hours of gameplay that he's got. And he's like, the fuck happened to my build? And then Blizzard's like, that'll be like God knows how much million gold to respec your character. Whatever. Again, and here's the thing. I want people to really understand, because usually whenever I make videos like this, people are like, you just don't want to work. I'm not talking about myself. Bro, I can play this game however much I friggin' want. Although, to be honest, I'm probably going to be playing Remnant 2, because that seems like it's going to be more interesting. But I can play Diablo 4 whenever I want. I'm not like somebody who's got, you know, a regular 9 to 5, and they get home, and they have like 2 or 3 hours to play the game, and their build got nerfed, and they're fucked. You should be figuring that out ahead of the season, not during the season. Maybe that's a hot take nowadays, with so many people defending the goddamn game. We're increasing the availability of affixes below to make them easier to include in different builds. Control impaired duration can now appear on pants. Barrier generation can now appear for all classes. Fucking thank you! Holy shit! It will also begin dropping later in the game. Why not earlier in the game? Get us used to the fucking thing. Thank you. Lucky hit chance while you have a barrier can now appear for all classes. Mastery skill damage newly added and appear. Resistance to all elements now appear on shields. We put a worthless stat in a worthless item. You're welcome. The core stat bonus on weapons have been overperforming, so we're pulling back on this bonus. Okay. 50% stronger when on weapons goes to 25%. Oh, so we're nerfing shit across the board. Okay. 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 So this is just like flat out less damage. Okay. Cooldown reduction affix is often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for not prioritizing won't be as harsh. Cooldown reduction reduces... Boom! I told you. I fucking told you. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. We're seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage often viewed as a hard requirement for a build success in Diablo 4. We believe this is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish, and will continue to make changes to support this goal. Critical strike damage reduced. Lightning critical strike damage reduced. Critical strike damage with bone reduced. Vulnerable damage reduced. Where's the upside? Where's the part where you bring the other stats up to be more in line? Isn't that the point? Like, you nerf a little bit on these, you bring the other ones up to be more in line. Blizzard's just like, no, fuck this. Okay. I mean, I always thought that vulnerable damage was fucking busted to begin with. It's pretty much mandatory. Like they said, it was a hard requirement. That at least vulnerable damage was a hard requirement. Whatever. Disparities in inherent affixes can rule some weapons out before the rest of their stats are even rolled. These are receiving harsher reductions than their normal affix counterparts to increase weapon flexibility. Critical strike damage narrowed on swords reduced by 50%. Vulnerable damage narrowed on crossbows reduced by 65%. though, all those malignant hearts that you're not going to be getting, they're totally going to make up for all this. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Damage bonus to crowd controlled enemies roll performing relative to the ease of activating it versus stricter crowd control type. We've seen that skillful players are frequently slaughtering monsters many levels above their own. We want to support this, but the current situation is beyond what we believe is correct for the long-term health of the game. Chase this goal, we're shifting power to many offensive affixes from defensive affixes. We know this will make our endgame content more deadly, particularly for those chasing our pinnacle boss. An encounter not meant for the faint of heart. Overcoming the pinnacle boss will take every ounce of grit. You can muster on all the tools at your disposal. We'll continue to evaluate feedback on the community and make changes to our combat mechanics. So they're increasing damage across the board and reducing damage reduction across the board. That's great. That's really good. Here's the biggest problem with this patch. From just like my quick we still haven't gone through the nerfs and whatnot, the class specific stuff. I'm not gonna be going over any of them except the Necro because I've only played the Necro. Let's see what they've done to the Necro. The rest of them, it's whatever really. Initiates decompose slow increased from 30 to 50%. Oh great. That's great. Let me tell you something about Necro generators. There's two of them that you should be using, which is whatever one is the little bones thing, where you shoot out 3 little bone things. And there's the other one, which is the scythe one. Those are the ones you should be using. The other one's kind of worthless. Paranormal Sever casts required for Vulnerable reduced from 4 to 3. Doesn't matter. Vulnerable has been nerfed into the dirt. Who cares? Enhanced Blood Surge healing increased from 2... Oh my god. 0.5? Hell yeah, dude! Here's the thing. This doesn't change the fact that this skill feels like shit to cast. It feels bad. Like you press the button, and it doesn't feel good to press that button. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm... Like, you want to press a button, and you want it to feel good to press the button. And when it comes to the generators, the only 2 buttons that feel good to press, it is the scythe one and the little bone one. Blood Surge feels, it's probably the one that feels the worst because you barely even see an animation on screen when you press this button. Enhanced Blood Lance damage reduction for piercing reduced from 15% to 10%. So last damage reduction for Blood Lance. Thanks. Bone Prison initial essence gain up from 15 to 25. I guess not that many people are using Bone Prison. Abhorrent Iron Maiden healing increased from 5 to... Oh, yes. Golems move faster and unhindered through enemies when their cooldown is activated. Oh, that's good to hear. Supreme Blood Wave leaves behind blood orbs earlier in its path. Raise Skeleton Corpse Explosion Corpse Tendrils range for auto-targeting corpse on mouse and keyboard increased by 50%. Interestingly enough, I was struggling to target stuff with controller more. I don't know if they fucked with the controller one, but at least they made it easier for mouse and keyboard to do it because it was apparently really challenging. I'm not memeing. I've heard from people that it's actually really hard. Raise Skeleton, Skeletal Priest bonus damage increased from 20 to 30%. There's barely even a reason to do this because your minions don't do any fucking damage to begin with. So it's like, oh, great. Now you do, I don't know, instead of 10 damage, you do 13. And I don't know. It's just disappointing. Like, to be honest, near the end, I was barely using this thing. Because I'm like, most of my damage is coming from the Shadow Corpse Explosion and Bone Storm. It's barely even worth the button press. You're better off just making another corpse explode as opposed to using a corpse for buffing your minion damage, which is worthless to begin with. Unless you have the Ring of Mendel, which I don't, so fuck me. Evolution bonus damage to vulnerable reduced. Okay. Transfusion minion healing increased. Yay, more minion management. Yippee. Drain Vitality, Lucky Hit Chance increased. Amplify damage increased. Oh, that's actually nice. 12%. That's a 3% increase across the board. More damage. Not bad. Necromancer's minions will now automatically resummon after respawning during a boss fight. How about Necromancer's minions just automatically resummon always? Skeleton Warrior Defenders upgrade Thorns Inherit increase. Fucking worthless. Either make the Thorns legendary aspect work for all minions, or fuck your Thorns bullshit. Who cares? Shadow Skeleton Mage upgrade attacks required for additional Shadow Bolt reduced from 5 to 4. Bone Skeleton Mage upgrade Fortify increased from 11 to 12 to 20%. Okay. Iron Golems upgrade attacks, so they're actually a little bit tankier. Thank God. Iron Golems upgrade attacks required for slam attack reduced from 5 to 4. Yay. Essence Glyph bonuses now affects all damage instead of just core skills. Splintering Bone Shard damage bonus reduced from 50 to... Okay, so you're nerfing Bone Shard damage. Okay, Aspect of Plunging Darkness bonus increased. I don't even remember what the fuck this does. Coldbringer's I mean, I'm assuming I'm probably even using it, but, you know, that's good. That's a buff. Although, again, they're buffing Darkness, which is already something that's pretty decent. It's one of the better things. How about buffing minions some more as opposed to just, like, these feather touches? Coldbringer's Aspect Blizzard cooldown reduced. Oh! This is the minions casting Blizzard. That's nice. Aspect of Hungry Blood, chance to fire a Blood Lance increased from the... Oh, that's good. I'm really thinking about doing Blood Necro. Blood-soaked aspect damage increased. Still pretty... Aspect of Ultimate Shadow damage increased. Aspect of Grasping Veins critical strike damage bonus reduced. Ocean's Gale aspect bonus Bone Storm duration increased. Aspect of the Dam damage bonus increased from 30 to 50. Bloodbath aspect. That's another reduction. I'm probably going to try Blood Necro. There's not really any other class that seems super interesting to me right now. Aspect of Reanimation Skeleton's damage bonus increased. And they deal so little damage, though. Bloodless Scream Essence increased. Deathless Visage damage increased. Okay. No. Anyway, like I said, I'm not going to be looking at other classes because I don't know how well other classes are doing or not. I only really played Necro. And looking at these changes, I want to keep playing Necro, but I want to play Necro from far away. I don't want to be doing no Bone Storms. I definitely don't want to be doing Minions. So I'm probably going to be playing Blood Necro. We'll see how that pans out, if I like it or not. But, you know, I'm just not super excited for Season 1. I already said that I feel like it's not that much content that's there. I'll be happy to be proven wrong when I jump into the game. But yeah, I just feel like if everything in the game boils down to the RNG levels that they're doing here, which it definitely is, they're nerfing everybody down to compensate for the fact that we're going to be getting a lot of power from supposedly the Malignant Hearts, which is just going to be another RNG on top of all of the RNG that already is in the game. For me to be able to find the combinations that will actually make a proper build work, it's going to be such a shot in the dark that almost feels like the intended way to play is actually just wait for the experts like Maxroll or something like that to just straight up say, oh, here's the tier list for this season, and just play the Flavor of the Month class so that you can make up for the fact that your class is really powerful before you get to the RNG portion. And that when you get to the RNG portion, because you're more powerful than the classes, you kill shit faster so you get more loot, and therefore there's a higher chance of you getting those items that make you really powerful. I feel like they need to just make it so that every class can play decently and not feel like, you know, some Minion Necromancer. Maybe Minion Necromancer is the only one. If you're going just specific Minion Necromancer, maybe that is the only class that feels bad. I doubt it. You know, it's just like, in terms of balancing, it's always been asked, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm not super excited about this season because like I've already seen the story, which is what I was most interested in watching. I've already played the gameplay experience, which was a ton of fun. I loved what I've played of my first playthrough of Diablo 4. I thought it was amazing. I'm glad I played a Minion Necromancer, despite the fact that it turned out to be ass in the end. I'm glad because that was the class fantasy that I wanted to experience, and I did, and it was fun. It was good fun. It was fantastic. Had a blast. But the seasonal changes and the Blizzard balancing does not excite me one bit. So, we'll see how it pans out. But for now, that's going to be it. Thank you all very much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.